Welcome back to What Does That Mean? The podcast where we break down engineering, planning, and construction in plain English. I'm Brendan, the engineer.
And I'm Joanne. If you're a developer, builder, homeowner, investor, or just someone trying to make sense of the construction world, you're in the right place.
Every episode, we take something that costs people real money, real time, and real stress, and we unpack it in a way that actually makes sense.
No jargon walls, no lectures, just practical, common sense advice from the people who see these issues every day. Okay, Brendan, today we're busting one of the most expensive myths in property, the idea that buying brand new means buying safe.
The "it's new, so it must be fine" assumption. Fresh paint, modern fittings, never been lived in. What could possibly go wrong?
And the honest answer is a lot.
University research found that up to 85% of apartment buildings built since the year 2000 in New South Wales had at least one significant defect. 85%. So if you walk into a random new apartment building, the odds it has a real defect are roughly 5 in 6.
That's not just a few bad, that's the whole orchard.
And it's not just old data. A New South Wales government study found that 53% of strata buildings registered between 2016 and 2022, so genuinely recent buildings, had serious defects. The average cost to fix them was around $331,000 per building. That's money the owners end up wearing through their strata levies.
Someone in the industry recently called it Russian roulette.
One engineer described buying off the plan as exactly that, Russian roulette, because of how many floors are hidden till well after settlement. That's the lottery in the title. You don't know which apartment you've really bought until the problems start showing up.
Let's name the defects. What's the number one problem?
Waterproofing by a mile. It's the single biggest defect category, around 40 to 42% of all documented defects. Water getting in where it shouldn't. Bathrooms, balconies, basements, and water is insidious because by the time you see the stain, the damage behind the wall has often been growing for ages.
So water is the recurring villain again.
It really is the theme across these episodes. One analysis of more than 2,000 defect claims found 92% involved water in some form, plumbing, drainage, or waterproofing. 9 in 10. If you wanted to pick one enemy of Australian buildings, it's water in the wrong place.
Okay, so what's next after waterproofing?
Fire safety systems. That's the next most common serious defect. Things like fire-rated construction, sealing, and safety systems not being done properly. And those aren't cosmetic. They're the systems that are supposed to keep you alive in emergency.
And structural problems?
Less common, but when they happen, they're the most serious of all. Around 15% of buildings with serious defects have structural issues. Cracking in slabs and walls, spalling concrete where the steel reinforcement is too close to the surface and starts to corrode, foundation movement. These affect the actual safety and lifespan of the building, not just comfort.
And balconies seem to come up quite a lot.
Balconies are a perfect storm. They're exposed to weather. They need perfect waterproofing and the right fall to drain. And they've got a balustrade that's a genuine safety item. Get the waterproofing wrong and the water tracks back into the building. Get the balustrade wrong and it's a full risk. They're one of the most defect-prone parts of any building.
So why is this happening? You'd think new construction would be the best construction.
A few reasons stack up. The building boom meant huge volume, fast timelines, and pressure to finish. Talked about builders going broke and working on razor-thin margins. When everyone's rushing and squeezing cost, quality control is the first thing to slip.
And the defects get hidden by the finishers?
That's the cruel part. The riskiest defects, waterproofing especially, get covered up by tiles and finishes. Done right at construction, waterproofing in a wet area costs a few $100s. Fixing it after the finishes are on can be well over $15,000 per area because you have to demolish to get to it. So a tiny saving or a rushed job during the build becomes a massive bill for the owner later.
And would you say this is a national problem or just a Sydney one?
Completely national. The research found around 71% of surveyed Queensland apartment buildings had defects, about 74% in Victoria, and up in the 90s in New South Wales. Different states, same systematic problem. It's not one bad market, it's the way a lot of buildings have been delivered.
Aren't there warranties and protections for new buildings?
There are statutory warranties of roughly 2 to 6 years depending on the state and the type of defect, and some bond schemes, but they're time limited. They have conditions, and they only help if you actually find and document the defect in time. A defect you don't discover until year 7 is often your problem.
And resolving it isn't quick.
Far from it. For a big chunk of buildings, resolving defects drags on for a year or more. You're dealing with the builder, the developer, the strata committee, sometimes lawyers, and there's often disagreement amongst the owners about how to even approach it and who pays. It's slow, stressful, and expensive.
So the smart move is to catch it early.
Catch it early before you settle, while you still have leverage. Once defects are found by a future buyer, they don't just deduct the repair costs, they negotiate 1.5 to 3 times the repair cost off the price. A $20,000 problem can knock $60,000 off the value. Finding it before settlement, when the developer still has to fix it, is worth a fortune.
Right. What about practical protection? I'm buying off the plan or buying new. What do I need to do?
First, and most important, get an independent pre-settlement inspection. Before you hand over the final money, have a qualified independent inspector go through the property and document every defect. This is the single most effective thing you can do, and most people skip it because the place looks finished.
Looks finished and is sound are two different things.
Totally different. A pre-settlement inspection is your one big moment of leverage. The developer wants your final payment, and you make fixing the documented defects a condition of settling. After you settle, the leverage is largely gone.
Secondly,
document everything in writing with photos. A clear written defects list with a requested timeline for fixing it. Verbal promises evaporate. A documented list is what protects you.
thirdly,
Don't only look at the cosmetic stuff. The paint and the finishes are easy. The things that matter are the ones you can't easily see. Waterproofing, drainage, the balcony falls, the balustrade, signs of structural movement. That's where you want experienced eyes.
fourthly,
If you're buying an established place, not brand new, a pre-purchase inspection does the same job. It tells you what you're really buying before you commit, so you can negotiate or walk away. Compared to the price of the property, an inspection is almost nothing. The cheapest insurance in the whole transaction.
and this is core JCE work.
It's right in our wheelhouse. Independent pre-purchase and pre-settlement structural engineering inspections, defect inspections and advice, balustrade and stair review and certification. The whole point is to give you an honest, independent picture of the building, not the sales pitch, the reality, while you can still do something about it.
Is there any good news? Is this improving at all?
Genuinely, yes. Some reforms in New South Wales in particular have started to bite, and the prevalence of waterproofing defects has been declining in newer buildings. Builders and developers are being held more accountable than they were, and the new building code we covered previously is tightening exactly the things that go wrong most: water and moisture.
So the system is slowly responding.
Slowly, but getting better doesn't mean safe. More than half of recent strata buildings still had serious defects. So until those numbers fall a lot further, the only sensible assumption when you buy it is trust but verify. In some practical takeaways. 1. Brand new does not mean defect free. Up to 85% of newer apartment buildings have had at least one significant defect.
2. Waterproofing is the number one defect, and water is involved in around 9 out of 10 defect claims.
3. Serious defects are expensive and slow to fix. Hundreds of thousands per building and often a year or more to resolve.
4. A pre-settlement inspection is your big moment of leverage. Use it before you hand over the final payment.
5. Document defects in writing with photos and look past the cosmetics to waterproofing, balconies, balustrades, and structure.
6. An independent inspection is the cheapest cheapest insurance in the whole purchase. Don't skip it because it looks finished. Did you buy something brand new and find defects after you moved in? What was it? And did you get it fixed?
Tell us on YouTube or through JCE. And if you're about to settle on a new place, that pre-settlement inspection is the call to make before the payment, not after. Buying new feels like the safe option. The data says it's often a gamble, and the house usually wins unless you check.
But it's a gamble you can stack in your favor.
An independent inspection before you settle turns a lottery ticket into an informed decision. That's the whole difference.
If this episode made you rethink brand new equals safe, share it with someone about to buy off the plan. Subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Spotify, and connect with us on LinkedIn.
And as always, if you've got a topic, a question, or a building headache you want us to unpack, send it through to JCE. We genuinely enjoy this stuff.
Thanks for listening.
See you on the next one.